Vincent van Gogh once said, I see my picture in my mind and then I paint my picture. So, what does that mean? I was chatting with a older lady and her husband over brunch today, and she was remarking about her previous career as a art instructor, actually a professor at a university, and this is back during the 1950s or 60s. So art instruction, I guess, was mainly the very basic stuff, not like we do today with graphics and more advanced technology. So it involves some manual arts and up to including painting. So this lady was telling me how one of her students had had a thing for painting a tropical island scene, and apparently she didn't like the results. So she told him, "Have you ever been to a place like that?" And he said no. So she said, "Why don't you just try painting what you know?" So she says, fast forward many years later, she encountered the former student, and he showed her a picture of a place he had recently visited, which pretty much matched the painting he had painted in college. The one she told him to perhaps not do, paint something that he actually had experienced personally, rather than whatever was in his mind. Somehow he managed to pursue whatever it was that he wanted that he put on the canvas. It became true. And it got me thinking. Well, first of all, I threw that back at her. He, just what Van Gogh said, he had to first come up with a painting in his mind before he could actually take action in the physical world and create it for everyone else to see. So the painting really had been, all his paintings, just like anything is created twice in our minds and then in the physical world. She couldn't think of a comeback for that. I figured that was a really huge stretch for her. Not because of age, but mainly because most of us don't think about it. How many things have we all uh, thought of that we didn't think we could accomplish, but we went ahead and did it anyway, but never retrace our steps? Just to give you something to think about. And yes, that's the ocean behind me. I'm in my cabin. It's the only quiet place I can find on the ship. I could not find one of the lounges open where there wasn't a lot of traffic. And as soon as people see a camera and a tripod, they start fluffing up their hair. They start sucking up their guts. Frankly, I think we all do that. But that one conversation this morning really got to me. You just told someone not to basically be creative. This is how we are wired to perform. Our brains need to be able to think first and then take actionable steps to create whatever it is that we thought. And I've been thinking about the satisfaction this week, and I know I'm kind of getting off the course of, let's just say, my discussion about the project that I started 3 weeks ago, the 10 transformative steps, which is part of my 30 Days to Success program. And the satisfaction has been a theme that just keeps repeating, because it comes in a cycle, and it just, if you caught in that lane, then you have to find a way to exit at some point, like you do on a highway, just like driving in Miami. But I'll get back to the driving in Miami at another time. This is a very short podcast tonight. And I know it's Sunday afternoon. I'm on a cruise. Like I said many weeks ago, I was going to be on a carnival cruise, and I wanted to take my podcast on the go. I shouldn't say on the road because we're at the sea, but that's all purely semantics. Just seeking the purity of joy, just not really having much of an agenda with this podcast right now. A lot of changes for me. I'm sure that happens in your life as well, where just when you think you have a hold on something, another nice little surprise creeps up and grabs you, and then you have to figure out how to deal with it. and remain calm and and really conscientious about what you have to do to get out of that particular situation and to navigate through difficulty. And that has been the case in the past couple of weeks. Um, so the satisfaction is still, it's always that we always have to work on managing. I don't want to be glib and say that we can resolve uh, challenges, even the ones that we can see coming at us. It's just a matter of staying calm and being able to figure out what we want to do. And recently, I had to pack my household goods in a hurry, a really big hurry, and that threw the proverbial wrench into the machine. Everything seemed to be fine tuned. I seemed to have the right mindset to continue on what I was working on. This is part of it. Um, but I was really wise and really glad that I uploaded some content online. They actually did projected some of these podcasts for each week, for each Monday night, for a reason. I wanted to experiment to see how far I could take summoning the future to the present. I wanted to see where that would take me. And it has been indeed transformative, because when a big wave hit, it was unpleasant and I was not really feeling very joyful. And I was actually at a moment where I actually doubted some of the material that I actually practice normally and that I teach and that I've been coached on. And I had to remind myself that this is all part of the test. But perhaps it's not a universal test. Perhaps it's not even a religious connotation to this. It is simply everything else is around us. It's already created an emotion. We just got here. And that's going back to my esteemed dining partners, that everything that's already created. Clearly, that person, this lady Todd, saw a beautiful tropical island scene, and that's where he wanted to go. And somehow, and depicting it on in his mind and then transferring to a canvas, moved him that at some point in the future he would indeed be in a place like that. Surely that brought some joy to his life, because it's the realization of a dream or a desire. So with the satisfaction that I'm hearing a lot in the past few weeks, and including up to like 2 weeks before I set sail on the ship, and I did it because of my birthday. I paid for this trip way ahead of time, and there was no backing out of it. And I even thought about just ditching the whole project and saying, you know what, I'm not gonna go. But it's canceling doesn't really solve the hurdle. You have to manage it. And I find myself being humbled every few hours or seconds or minutes into getting back on track. It's not about self-shame or feeling bad. It's simply about recover. Just recover. Where were you? This is where you need to be. So everything's swirling about, and it can be challenging. It can be really upsetting, and it's just not jiving with your, what your desires are. Then you have to change it. And so I have changed course a little bit, readjusted, and being on a ship, it doesn't feel like the first time I went on a cruise, because it's not the first time already. I was glad. I was glad to get out of town, but on the same token, it felt natural that why not? Why not go on another cruise? And I have another one projected next month. I have no idea how I'll realize it. It's paid for, but there are some other details that I have not worked out. But there's so many other things going on that they could easily prevent me from going. But to date, I have not made any attempts to stop the planning or even the desire to go, because I made a commitment. But the satisfaction is always going to be something that we have to adjust, and also just realize that it's part of the whole dynamic of life. Those of us who have been born and get to live, we get to play. So you can either play a part where everything's negative, or you can play a part where it's going to be relatively fun and challenging in a way that where you're learning and enriches your life. And so, like, again, this has been a little bit humbling. I'm about to tip this camera over. So, very short podcast. I'll do the voiceover for Spreaker in a few moments. I just want to upload a video to YouTube. It may not match everything that I just said, but we'll see how it turns out. I just want to reach out quickly, not the usual Monday night offering that you may have expected, and it's shifting minute to minute, and perhaps this is the best way to teach or convey the materials that I teach, is that I show you how it's done by showing you the struggle or the difficulties and how I navigate through them, and hopefully giving you some inspiration to improve and overcome your personal issues. So it's a nice day. It's Sunday, and I think I'm just gonna hunker down in my cabin for a movie on demand. I went to the movies today. Got an IMAX theater on board. That was really good. That was a really long movie. And I'll do another movie and maybe order in and just do some reading and some meditation and try to figure out what I want to do next. But it's pretty much wide open. With that said, I wanted to wish you a great weekend. Great weekend. This is Monday night, obviously. And I also want to wish you a great week. And I will be back next weekend, and I'll have some more content uploaded to this podcast YouTube page for the week, for all the activities that I will be taking place during the cruise. I'll just share that experience with you, and just for the sheer pleasure of sharing. I hope you find it entertaining and enjoy it as much as I think I'm going to enjoy myself doing it. So I'll see you on the next regular podcast, 8 p.m. Monday following week. Good night.